Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go again. We have an update to the story regarding Steam and NSFW games. Apparently, according to Pirate Nation in an article that we're going to be getting into in a couple of seconds, Steam is apparently not only are they banning NSFW games that go against their payment processors, but now apparently they are dedicated to making the developers' lives a living hell. They're not even going to allow early access for NSFW games. I'm not kidding. Now we are at the point where unless your game is fully funded, they won't allow you to do early access whatsoever. This is absolutely insane. This is to the point now where they are essentially trying to kill off any chances of certain adult games even being made, because some adult games unfortunately have to rely on early access funds in order to continue development, and they're not even allowing that to happen. So we actually have an article here that we're going to go over in a second from Games Market, but before we do, I want to read the post from Pirate Nation. This is where I saw it from. It says, according to Steam, early access is no longer available for games with mature themes. The restriction of adult games continues. If you look at the screenshot here, it says, message from the Steam team on August 30th, 7:31 a.m., 15 hours ago. It says, thank you for your patience during this additional review. Please resubmit your application for review when you're ready. The failure reason? Your app has failed our review because we're unable to support the early access model of development for a game with mature themes. Please resubmit when your app is ready to launch without early access. Now, I find this to be extremely interesting and also extremely vaguely worded. They say that they cannot support development for games with mature themes. Are we talking strictly gooder games? Are we talking games that are M-rated? Are we talking games that might be a little violent? Like, what exactly are we talking about here? See, this is the problem. When they try to use vague language like, oh yeah, mature themes or obscene content, they don't exactly tell you what the issue is. So if they deem it to be too mature, however, whatever the hell that means, then I guess they are going to not allow you to do early access for your video game. So I went and found this article here from Games Market, and it says pressure continues. Steam denies early access release for adult games. Valve is no longer accepting early access games with sexually explicit content. Now, keep in mind, the article says sexually explicit content, but that's not what this screenshot says. This screenshot says mature themes, and that can mean literally anything that can be rated as M. The renewed pressure on adult games is part of the chain of demands that payment processors put through to storefronts like Steam and itch.io. But resistance from effective devs and users demanding free art has risen dramatically. Here's what I will say. If you are a developer of adult games, okay, whether it's on Steam, itch.io, it doesn't matter, wherever you put your games. If you are a developer of adult games, you need to be loud as fuck. Like, you need to be louder than everybody else talking about this and complaining about this right now. You need to look towards content creators to get your word out there. If you're an LGBTQ adult video game developer, then you can look to the gaming journalists to get your word out there, because let's be real, they're only going to report on the LGBTQ stuff that gets censored. If you are somebody who makes straight content, then chances of games journalists pushing your content, they're not going to say a fucking thing. They've been very quiet when it was just considered the chud games that were getting taken down, right? When it was considered the straight games that were getting taken down. But the moment the LGBTQ Gouda games got taken down, oh, now we got to write articles. So that's why I'm telling you, you need to reach out to the people who you feel are going to get your word out there to the, to the maximum, because otherwise this is going to be continuing to happen. We need to make this as big of a thing as possible. And trust me, it's pretty damn big at this point, where everybody's talking about this. Censorship is at an all-time high, not just in enactment, but it also in conversation. Now you also have the bill that just recently passed in Texas called SB 20. That particular bill is targeting cartoon content that is deemed too childlike, right? And people are going to be like, well, it's only targeting CP. No, it's not. Read the bill. The bill is so goddamn vague. It could target literally any cartoon that they deem to be childlike. These adults, these 70-year-old fucking old losers that are politicians in the government, they're going to decide if anime is too childlike. The ones who don't even watch anime, they're going to be the ones to decide. Same thing happening here on Steam. What does mature themes mean? Do you even have a clarification? It's insane. But in an update on their handlings of adult games as part of the recent discussion between payment processors and storefronts, Valve is now disallowing early access submissions for games with explicit sexual content. Your app has failed our review because we're unable to support the early access model of development for a game with mature themes. Again, mature themes does not just mean sexual content. Mature themes can mean literally anything. So I don't know why people are assuming it's sexual content, because obviously we could do that considering what they've been taking down lately, but I don't think that's a very smart thing. If you allow them to be very vague with their language, well, those mature themes can come for your kind of video games, even if they don't happen to be gooner games. The company did not make it clear what the reason was, of course not, though assumingly it is because payment processors are uncomfortable with games adding additional content that could possibly transgress against their increasingly oppressive content guidelines for media they allow payment for. The issue was made public when developers of adult games shared the messages they received from Steam when trying to apply for early access. And to be fair, this is exactly what I was talking about. The fact that these developers share these messages, keep doing it. Keep sharing these messages. Keep sharing what Steam is doing. Keep sharing what itch.io is doing. And keep sharing what PayPal and payment processors are doing. Keep doing it, because this is how you get the word out there. This is how you cause the shitstorm. This is how you get things done. One of these developers is the studio Dammit Burn, developers of the adult adventure game Heavy Hearts. Due to current events, I panicked and contact my publisher to help me get on Steam early access. The general rule is that your game should be about 65% done before doing early access. Well, we are about 70% done, so the time was right anyway. But now, all of a sudden, and without a policy announcement, the rules have changed, and now I can't join Steam Early Access, the developer explains in a statement to Games Market. The development is part of it ever-narrowing canal of distribution methods for games that include sexual content, with payment processors pressuring itch.io to delist or at least de-index adult games just recently. Heavy Hearts is still available on itch, but you'll never be able to search it because it is de-indexed. I made a free demo page that you can find, though. Itch.io was 50% of my game's revenue. 50%! They lost 50% in one shot due to de-indexing. That is insane, but that is not shocking at all, to be honest with you. Itch.io, again, it's how I paid my artists and other partners. I still have Patreon and Subscribestar, and they are keeping the game afloat. Well, I'm telling you right now, Patreon is going to have a big issue with this if they find out what you're doing, because considering all the debanking that Patreon has done in the past, I would not trust them in the slightest. Subscribestar, totally different game. Patreon, yeah, that's going to be real sus. They say, but it won't be enough in the long run, says Dammit Bird. Other storefronts are under similar pressure or have already taken steps to disallow adult content, such as Gumroad did, even though other stores like Itch are seeking possibilities to relist games. It's hard to promote your game on platforms like X because they deboost any mention of Patreon or other socials. Since Patreon used to be the king of delisting kinky adult games, I never put much stock into it. Now it's basically all I have, and I still have the risk of getting deplatformed from it. I'm glad he's aware of that. I'm glad they are aware that they can absolutely be deplatformed on Patreon, because Patreon is a shitty platform. They absolutely will take you down if anything even remotely NSFW is found on your profile or being pushed on your content and they don't like it, right? Especially if it's like anime. Forget about it. You're gonna have a real rough time. We've done many videos talking about multiple creators that have been debanked from Patreon and PayPal, so to rely on them is not a good idea. But protests against any payment processes pressure on storefront, as well as the handling of the storefronts themselves and the anti-porn lobbyist group that started it, has not let up in the last month. Apart from journalists, developers, and activists calling for daily calls to the payment processors call centers. Whoa. Developers and activists, whoa. Journalists, listen, the journalists didn't do a fucking thing. No offense. The journalists didn't do a damn thing. The journalists sat by and were quiet as hell while the censorship was happening, and it was YouTubers that got things done. And then all of a sudden, when the LGBTQ games were starting to get delisted, that is when the journalists wanted to join in and wanted to say censorship bad. We need to do something. Get the fuck out of here by saying journalists, developers, and activists were the only ones lobbying for this game. Get out of here. That is such nonsense. Oh my God. Anyway, daily calls to the payment processor call centers with several petitions like the one spearheaded by German journalists have gathered a critical mass of petitioners. Even game industry associations from around the globe have chimed in, criticizing the pressure payment processors like Stripe, PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard are putting on the game storefront. So, listen, guys, at this point, this is pretty clear that companies like Steam and itch.io and all these payment processors, they're trying to enact all these forms of censorship right under our nose, and they're not even announcing a policy change. Again, the fact that they are suddenly not allowing early access for adult games, when the fuck did that happen, right? Savvy made a great post here on X, and it says, yes, that will make the world a safer place. Why is this a thing? It is absolutely amazing how you can have monthly PDF and Predator stories in Roblox, but they will still be front and center and main stage with all these companies. But then, God forbid, someone makes a spicy game out of passion for other adults to check out. None of it really makes sense to me other than testing control. And I agree, it's all about testing control. And keep in mind, people have been saying that there are, in fact, adult games that do have early access available, but after a certain date, it is no longer available. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this shit is just insane. It is an absolute joke, and I guess we're gonna have to see what else happens from here. But again, if you are an adult video game developer, please make sure you are doing everything to speak out against this nonsense to the best of your ability. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving that subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one.